Hi folks, I'm Alba and I'm from the team telling our startup story, and I know it's the end of the day, so if you can just tune back in for another few minutes. We promise to keep you entertained and then we'll wrap up for the day. I suppose to start off with, this is our team and this is us moving home earlier on in the day, and we brought our boards with us because I tell you, we have kept the closest company in business the last few days. We had so many brilliant ideas and it's a credit to all of the team. So our task was to figure out what Dublin had to offer at the moment for a startup business, and then we also had to figure out what else we could contribute to make it the city of choice and to compete with the likes of Silicon Valley. So we want to move from good to great, and we want to become that city of choice. So I'm just going to hand you over to Morning Ireland. I believe they're doing an interview with a startup company just at this very minute. So over to Morning Ireland.
Thank you. And tell us about what you mentioned your business type, but what is that sort of business are you going to set up?
I have a vision. My business is creating a cashless society. So you can think of it as the equivalent of the paperless office, and I've developed technology to support that.
Okay, very interesting. And tell me, you could have set up in France, you might have gone to Silicon Valley. Why was it Dublin you chose?
Dublin has been chosen because it offers me access to a hugely talented, resourceful people here in Dublin, access to multinationals, you've got a lot of headquarters here, and access to a really vibrant startup community.
Okay, so you could say we're pretty super networked here. That was one of the main reasons you were coming. And how easy is it to set up here? Was there, was it harder than France? Was it easier than elsewhere?
Well, one of the reasons I've set up here is that it's only taken me 10 days to start up my business here.
10 days?
In France, it would take me 150.
150 in France, okay, so that's where we're a world leader.
And of course, one of the other factors and attractions of Dublin is the low corporation tax.
Of course, okay, that's a given. So the tax, the fast, the speed, and then the super network idea. So the next 6 months are going to be very challenging, lots to do. Tell me the 3 big challenges you see facing you now.
Ooh, okay. Dublin has an incredible support infrastructure for people wanting to start a business, but it's really difficult to navigate the way through that.
You'd like that a bit more streamlined?
Absolutely.
Okay. And what about, are you planning to test the product?
Yeah, one of the reasons again I chose to come to Dublin was the size and scale of the city, potentially very easy to do some prototyping, but to be honest, I don't know where to begin. Where do I go to get my prototype technology started up?
And I guess then the bottom line with everything is funding.
Absolutely, I hope I'm going to be very successful, and when I launch the business from here internationally, I need substantial funds, so that would be something I'm looking for.
And do you see Ireland as being clear for you to find funds at the moment?
It's a little bit difficult. I hope it gets easier over time.
Okay, very interesting. Thanks so much for that. And since we only got 90 seconds, I have to go back. But one of the things that's been going on here in Dublin is there's been a startup city charrette, and they're actually looking at all of these kind of issues in the city of Dublin. So I'm going to go back over to our team leader, who will take you through some of the solutions they've come up with.
Thanks very much, Anya. I suppose they raised some really interesting points there. When we started doing our brainstorming yesterday, we came up with the ideal ecosystem that we wanted to have, and it included all of these points: vibrancy, funding, super connected, cohesiveness, talent, and prototyping. Now I suppose where we're at the moment is that we're very vibrant. As a city of Dublin, we are a fun kind of people. We've got a social kind of background. We've got a good work-life balance. We're super connected, and that's largely to do with our size. They say there's a 6 degrees of separation around the world, but in Ireland it's got to be about 2, and internationally it's probably 3 degrees of separation. We're also very talented. We're a very educated city, and we also have connections to multilingual and international students and a workforce here. So to communicate that, we decided we would come up with a brand in Dublin, and it's a live moving brand. But initially, according to our timeline, what we're going to do is by the end of the year we'll launch this brand. And we're going to launch it by having a big worldwide competition. the competition will be a startup pack which will include funding and mentoring support for the winner. It's going to be supported by a year-long advertising campaign, and I mean a hardcore advertising campaign, something like what's going on in the tourism industry with The Gathering at the moment. It'll cover everything from TV, social networking, radio, billboard advertising, and it's really going to tap into the success stories that we have in Dublin, the people who have succeeded in starting up in Dublin. And then, as I mentioned, it is going to be a moving brand, and it's going to tackle the challenges that we have and the gaps that we have. So I'm going to hand you over and we'll address some of those now.
I think it's important to mention that the big thing about our brand is it's about the actions that we deliver behind it. It's about what we do to move Dublin from good to great. And what we heard from our great startup is that, Dublin is a good place to start up, but it could be a great place. And we have a timeline to get Dublin to that great place. And we think if we concentrate on prototyping, funding, and cohesion of business support, we can get there. And we have a timeline, and I think it's important to look at what we can do for the quick wins, what we can do for the medium and long term. And what we're looking at, and we're grateful that we've heard some brilliant ideas today, and we'll take on board all those ideas. We have some of our own here that kind of crossover and some new ones. But ultimately, the business support system, how cohesive that is key. And we think, starting point, just map the current supports. Another simple thing, the point of startups are someone that can bridge the gap between the city, between the national government, between public and private, someone that knows the landscape. That's something that could be done now that would have an impact. And then have a review of the structures. And we've seen some of the ideas in terms of the ecosystem and what they have proposed to do. But let's map that out in a timeline and look at what we can do now. Prototyping. We know that Dublin can be one of the best cities in the world to prototype. It's great size, got a great size to market test. And we know there's great projects in the city like our beta projects. But all we need to do is coordinate that better. The funnel system. We've heard some great solutions today. It's about how we can do a better engagement, better networking. We could do an international competition, design competition. We could say, come to Dublin, prototype your solutions. We have X million to help you do that, bring that to market, commercialise. And we think there's opportunities to share skills in this space, to get the people who are prototyping to network with different people, the operators, the different providers. And then we also think then by maybe 2016 with our new library, we could look at developing fab labs, shared spaces where people can prototype 3D printers. These are expensive things, but these are things that we can do to make Dublin a great place. Under funding, we've heard a lot about funding today, but kick it off with a big startup competition. This can be launching what our brand is all about. Come to Dublin. Dublin's a place where you can succeed. Crowdfunding for equity. Let's look at disruptive things. These are things that can really make a difference to a business. Get the small bit of money to seed your idea, to take it to the next level. The coordination piece, we've heard a lot about this, but tapping into the diaspora, a Dublin Entrepreneurs Fund connected to everyone around the world who wants to see Dublin be great. And then, money follows success. We think if we get our brand right, and we think if Dublin attracts the talent and the ideas, the money will follow, the venture capital will come.
So I suppose really what we have concluded is that if we can get cohesion right, prototyping right, and the funding right, along with all the great things great assets that we already have, I think we can achieve something like this. Any minute now. It's not working. Okay, we talk is good. Okay, I suppose with the brand we had, I'll just flick it up there, in Dublin, but really it's all the words to do within Dublin. So it's brewing in Dublin, started up in Dublin, it's engineered in Dublin, marketed in Dublin, so it's all the different words that go in Dublin. So it's basically start up in Dublin.